In this video, we're going to be having a look at the new Hasbro Marvel Spider-Man. This is Venom. A sinister specimen, Venom can strike down enemies with a single blow. And with a wheel located in the back of the figure's torso, you can also flick Venom's tongue as well. Let's go ahead and figure out how tall Venom is. We'll put the tape measure next to him. Let's stop it at around there. What do you think? I think that sounds good. The figure stands at 5.5 inches, or if you want to see that in centimeters, you're looking at 14.1 centimeters in height. And of course, a size comparison you probably would like to see. There he is next to Marvel's Spider-Man. This is just the regular Spider-Man with a somewhat ridiculous gimmick in his arm. Venom, as what would be expected, is a little bit bigger, a little bit broader, a little bit higher than Spider-Man to the left. We'll just keep Spider-Man there for a second, because I'm sure we're going to do a couple more comparisons. Venom I wanted to pick up a while now, and I just didn't simply find him in stores until, lo and behold, I found him at Walmart. A decent-looking representation of Venom, though a little on the skimp side when it comes to actually things that you can do with him. Granted, yes, Spider-Man doesn't really do a whole lot either. It really only had the rotation in the wrists or the shoulders and leg swivel back and forth, and he had head articulation. Venom essentially is that, except he doesn't have a head. Well, let me rephrase that. He does have head on his shoulders, but he doesn't have head posability. It's pretty much stuck in place, and there's a reasoning for that. I'll talk about that in a second. What we get here, though, is a very gorilla-shaped, gorilla kind of posed Venom. Big, broad arms, very, almost slightly shorter legs, and a very broad torso. Black is slightly gone in this departure of Venom. Instead, what we kind of get instead is kind of, I want to say, a purplish gray. It doesn't look too bad, and I can accept these colors. At least they're not drastically weird colors like a purple Venom. I think I can accept this one pretty good. He does have the symbiote symbol there on the front, and he also has that on the back as well. There's the wheel, by the way. We'll flick that in a second. Face sculpt is pretty good. I'm disappointed that you can't rotate the head. You can't open and close the mouth. Pretty much what he's doing right now is what he's going to be doing for the end of time, just to kind of put things in perspective. But again, I do like the face sculpt. Kind of wish that you could do a little bit more with it. So heavily is this figure geared around its gimmick, and that is his big giant tongue, which I can't help but look at and think that it reminds me of a Twizzler. Like, what flavor is red Twizzlers? Is it strawberry? Like a strawberry Twizzler sticking out from his mouth. Nice serrated teeth. I can't remember whether in the cartoon or not he has this, but it seems like his lower jaw sticks quite a bit further out from the jaw up at the top there. Like I said, he's very big in the arm category. The arms, sadly, you can't really do too much with. I mean, he does have these big gripping hands, which I guess you could put Spider-Man into technically, but then, well, the problem is, of course, going to be facing you, that the figure's not going to stand very well. You really have to kind of lean him back a little bit for him to hold Spider-Man and also to stand up, which is actually more important to you, Venom. But at least he can hold Spider-Man really actually quite well, too. Like, Spider-Man doesn't seem like he's going anywhere, and you can have him gripping it in both hands. You could put, I guess, technically Spider-Man in both of his hands, and you can kind of just whip him around. Nice big sharp kind of feet, little toes there, little toe blades, and he has peg holes on the undersides of his feet. I don't feel like necessarily he needs peg holes. I mean, I know that's kind of the staple when it comes to figures, that you have to put peg holes on the undersides of his feet. Technically, he really doesn't need it. The figure stands perfectly fine, if for not the fact, of course, he's got the big giant arms on the sides as well. Posability on this guy, we'll talk about this in a second, and then we'll kind of go to his tongue here. His arms rotate all the way around. Be careful, of course, when you're doing that, that his tongue doesn't actually get caught. You don't want to clip that and break the tongue off in the process. But his arms rotate all the way around, and his legs move back and forth. That's as much as you're going to get out of him. Sadly, no head posability. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about his gimmick. So there's a little wheel located on the back here, and you're just simply going to flick it. When you are flicking it, though, you want to really kind of keep your hands away from the front of his face, and because often at times you'll find that the tongue just kind of catches onto it, and he does this. You can do that until the cows come home. And all I'm really doing is just flicking the wheel on the back for him to move his tongue back and forth. I'll do it a little bit slower so you can see it. Ooh! And that's all he does. That's his big gimmick. I want to also say, too, that for the fact that he is a wide figure, if you spin him sideways, he is seemingly very thin, very flat. It's almost as if he just kind of got squished and flattened out in a press. I guess that's the look that they wanted to go with. The less plastic, of course, the better. He does have a big, broad back, but then again, like looking at him sideways, very, very thin is Venom. He is a little bit more in the way of plastic than what you would get, say, with the Spider-Man. Again, we'll put Spider-Man next to him. There we go. Get a little bit more plastic. Luckily, that doesn't translate to a more expensive figure. Venom's not a bad looking figure. He has some shortcomings, but overall, I'm pretty happy with this release. By the way, when I say I'm very happy with this toy, I understand that this is sort of geared towards the kids, and therefore, because of that, you're not really going to get a whole lot of posability for Venom. Sure, his arms can swivel back and forth, his legs can swivel back and forth, and that's all you're really going to get. He's lost and given up all his posability in his head in favor of a flipping around tongue, which I guess does work well for Venom, providing that you don't have his arms in the way. If you have his arms forward, then the tongue often clips against it, and vice versa. When you are rotating his arms, you might find often at times that it clips against the tongue. I like the color. I'm accepting the fact that it's more of kind of a grayish Venom than we are getting a black Venom. I think it does work. The colors are rather bright on him. And overall, a pretty happy looking figure. Now, again, I understand that this is geared towards kids. I would have loved to get more posability out of this guy, but at the end of the day, it's a nice little pickup if kids are wanting to get themselves a Venom, of course, with the upcoming Venom hitting theaters very soon. Kids are, of course, going to want to pick up a Venom for themselves. If they want to pick up this particular incarnation of Venom, price point on him is going to be about $12, and that's quite rather affordable for what you're really getting for this guy. He scales well and scares well as well, but he scales well also with the other Spider-Man figures that were also released under the Marvel Spider-Man cartoon line. Today we were having a look at the Hasbro Marvel Spider-Man with a Venom that had a flicking tongue, and his tongue flicked around and very large arms. But a decent looking Venom, I have to admit, all around. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, what are you waiting for? We're going to have some more videos coming your way, maybe some more Spider-Man stuff coming your way as well. So if you haven't already, hit that little subscribe button just below this video. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.